Absolutely. Hi, beautiful.
How are you doing, gorgeous? I'm so excited to connect with you.
Me too.
No, this is exciting. This is exciting. So I'm Norm Bond. I've been reading, a lot of your information. The incredible Miji Pierce has sent me info. I'm on Twitter. I see your tweets and people talking about you, and I'm doing things in natural hair, and people in Texas and around the country like, well, you can't be doing natural hair if you don't know about NaturallyIsis and what she's doing. Blah, blah, blah. She's a legend. She's a pioneer. She's this and that. And I'm like, well, I've been hearing about her, so I'm glad to connect.
Thank you.
And to be, using the technology here. I've read, some of the information about the event and just about your work, which
Yes,
I think is on time, and just the spirit and the mentality of it, I think is all great. So I want to congratulate you first for the work that you're doing on behalf of the people, because I see you've made it bigger than you.
My honor. It's my honor. My name is Isis. Everyone knows me as Isis or NaturallyIsis. And I am the pioneer of natural hair and natural hair care in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I'm also a serious advocate and rebel for natural hair. I was arrested in 1997 because I wouldn't comply with the state rules of cosmetology in the state of Texas. But I won my case in 97. I was grandfathered in 2007. I was grandfathered, and I have a natural hair, Healing Through the Hair Institute of Ancestral Braiding, where I actually teach young people and people who just want to transition from corporate and want to do something artistic and want to do something free. I teach them natural hair care. It's a 35-hour course, and I give them license. So I'm just the mother of love in the community, a staple in the community, a lily in the valley, if you would. And I've been in the community where I've been located for 20 years. That's where I was arrested and taken to jail. And in this community, it's deprivated, low income, prostitution, drugs, and things like that. But I am the seed that's planted that constantly sprouts new things for our people.
The rose that is blooming from concrete here is what we're hearing. Well, listen, I want to welcome everybody. I'm Norm Bond, as you know, and we're really excited to have NaturallyIsis on this episode, sharing this powerful information. You heard her introduction, and she's got so many things going on. You heard her share. We're going to get information about how to contact her. We're going to hear about the upcoming parade and festival and some of the background about it. We're going to hear also how you can be a part of it. So this year, and I'm amazed because it's only the second year of this incredible event, the Natural Hair Parade and Festival, in its second year. And you got Erykah Badu as the Grand Marshal. You've got Irma Hall. You got support of the Dallas Weekly newspaper. You got the blogosphere going. I mean, tell us about how this came to be.
Oh, man, it was like magic. I was thinking, back in 97, 96, 95, the word natural wasn't even popular. Then all of a sudden, all these people started migrating to Dallas, Texas, and then they started all these different organizations and all these different expos. And I started out with a sister by the name of Talia YG back in 96, 97. And I brought Erykah Badu to her event. So it was just like, I'm going to do something. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to do an expo. I see Talia and I see all these other people that are sprouting up everywhere. So ancestors kept working with me. You got to do something, but it's got to be something significant. It's got to be something that pulls everybody together. It's got to be something that is going to say, ancestors, we honor what you have done for us. And now we are showing you by doing something spectacular. And the parade and march was it. Because in this country, black hair has been removed totally from American society and social systems. And as a result of that, the inferior seed for who we are. Our identity, our culture has been planted in the minds of our generation after generations after generations after generations, until now the new generation still looks in the mirror and don't like what it sees. So we are coming together September 1st, 10:30 a.m., marching in the streets and proclaiming what God has given us as absolutely the most beautiful thing on the face of God's earth. I did this because of my love for Black people and Black hair. I did it because I am a mother of 5 children, and I too have cultivated culture and beauty aesthetics in my children. I did this because I want babies to know that when they go into these environments with people that don't look like them, that their hair is beautiful and they hold it in high self-esteem, high esteem. Because when we think about African hair, we look at all of nature. And everything you see in nature, from the trees to the grass to the heavens, that melanin is present. So we know why African hair was enslaved in this country. Because when you look upon it, you're looking upon the Spirit of God. And people know that. So that's why I did this for the communities all over the country, but in particularly in Dallas, Fort Worth, Metroplex, to come together and share a labor of love, because we've been laboring over natural hair since, we've known natural hair. Absolutely. So that was the thing that came to me, and that's my gift back to the community and back to my ancestors.
What a wonderful gift. You made me think of Marcus Garvey when you started talking about the parade and the people and their glory with the hair and the beauty, and really being proud of that and coming through in Dallas, Texas. And what you're talking about, though, is really something that I see all over the country and really globally, in terms of this attack on race esteem and self-esteem and beauty standards. I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We see it here. I talk to people in Chicago, LA, Atlanta, really, like I said, all across the country. And this is one of the reasons why I love what you're doing, and the fact that people can connect with you even if they're not in Dallas. They can connect with you and get this information and watch the video and be able to get some of the insights that you're sharing. Now, one thing you also touched on, and I think is great, is you talk about the it's not just about hair, because some people look at hair and say, oh, it's just hair, it's just fashion. I mean, like, for example, I'm gonna give you you may have heard about this dean at the Hampton Business School. We've been talking about that recently, who really for 10 years has not allowed MBA students to enter the program with their locks or braids. MBA students who come in, it's male students. And he says that, the question, the comment he made was, well, when were braids and locks a part of African American history? What would you say to somebody like that? What is this about?
Well, he's a part of the problem. You're either a part of the solution or a part of the problem. And a lot of us don't know that these are our slave masters that make those type of statements. These are their children. And because of the history of Black hair in this country, I say to everyone, that's the last thing that's still enslaved on us. Our hair is different from other hair. Our hair breaks down like our DNA. Our hair spirals like our DNA. And everyone else's hair breaks down like a cat and a dog. It doesn't have much to it. There's no melanin. There's no spiral. There's no elasticity. So of course he would say that, because we have to be who we gotta be, no matter what anyone says about it. And it is not what other people think or say about our hair and heritage and our culture. It's what we know and what we can expound on and what we can tell the world. We know you love this hair. You buy it all the time. You have your Mardi Gras and your different theatrical experiences. Yes. We know you love being African. Yes. You go in secret and you kill up a bunch of Africans and you take their melanin. We know you love who we are, but we don't love who we are. We know that we have built countries after countries and dynasties after dynasties and made billions and trillions of dollars for other people. We are a commodity to people. They have to make us feel that we are nothing. But when we stand like we do stand, yes, and we are in unity, yes, with one another, when we do that, we eradicate all the stupidity and idiotic things that people have to say about African identity.
Absolutely. Ashe. I tell you what. Now, so is this what inspired, you mentioned earlier your inspiration from the ancestors, really? That was a big part of this, that gave you the inspiration in terms of liberating natural hair. Where do you see this going? I mean, this is the second year it's getting. I mean, you're already, to me, blowing up. I mean, where do you see this in like 2 years, 3 years from now?
Oh my God. Hopefully we have hit about 7 to 10 other states. Philadelphia has been begging me to come there.
Yes, we know we got the Locks conference coming up in Philly in October. I'm gonna follow up what and I'm gonna be speaking, but I'm gonna highlight definitely at you about the Locks conference and expanding this. And also, I may even talk with you about something I'm working on internationally. I'm gonna keep that hush hush.
Oh, that's great!
But I want to definitely follow up with you on that as well, because it's a global issue out here.
It's political.
That's right.
This is political. We say civil rights, but this is human rights.
Well, you know what? Let's get into it, because you know what? Another thing I love about what you're talking about is the economic piece of this, the business of black hair. You know, like you said, here you are, you were able to create a income stream on your hair, right? And now here we are in a situation in the U.S. where they say it's important to create jobs.
Yes.
You've come up with a vehicle, and we have, as a people, a vehicle, our hair, which can empower us, of course, as we're saying, with our aesthetic, but also from our economic base, from braiding, the locking, the twisting, the products to take care of the hair, the distribution, the manufacturing, the marketing, how this is used in fashion. And so when you see all of this economic engine that is the business of black hair that powers companies like L'Oreal, Alberto Culver, the Koreans who dominate the beauty supply store industry, how important is it that we make this economic connection at a time when the black community has very low ownership? We only own like 1.5% of the ownership and wealth in this country, and building generational wealth. I think that hair, this business of hair, this industry could be a valuable tool for us, an asset that can expand. One, we dominate this area and then expand into other areas. Do you think that makes sense, and that's something that we could look at as part of a bigger picture?
Absolutely. It's always been an economic engine in this country for black hair. Even when the manufacturing companies were against the natural hair and calling it inhumane and uncivilized and unattractive, and making products to say, make yourself look good, make your race look good. Those people were making billions of dollars off of us, wanting so badly to look European. So now it's a flip side of that. We are now having people that want to manufacture products that will cater to African American hair and curl pattern and texture. We have to get ourselves connected so that we as a unit can come together to own our own stores and get rid of people that are disrespecting us in our communities and standing up for the right of our economic system. This is our economic wealth.
Do you have beauty supply stores there in Texas?
Oh my God, they're so anti-African American.
Who owns them? So they're not owned by African Americans.
The Koreans. The Koreans.
Same as here in Pennsylvania.
All over the country, and they don't feel justified in giving any jobs to us or giving back to the community, because they feel that we are lazy, we are liars, you know, and we're not trustworthy. We have to start working in our own community to change all those things that people think and feel about us. Once we get the infrastructure tight, then we can own all these things, because we would know how. Then we would teach our children. Our children won't have those, those mixed feelings about being who they are in school and around other people. Every other race of person identifies with who they are. But that's all good. It's okay. It took 400 years to get here. You got to know this is a conspiracy. This was all, it was orchestrated to be this way. It was already put in place. So now we are untangling the roots of Black hair and the history of Black people, one person at a time. We can do this, world.
Yes.
We can do
Woo!
this. We already are doing it. So
Yes.
all we have to do is come together and get rid of our isms and our schisms and all of this tribal warfare. Well, I started this industry first. Well, I introduced the products first. Well, I started the first expo. Who cares?
Right, right. Now,
We're all one.
Now I'm gonna hit on something. I'm gonna hit on something that is a little bit controversial within the Black hair industry. So, but I'm gonna go there. Here it is. Okay, we passed the braid in Pennsylvania. There was a Braider's law passed as well, and it was interesting here. What happened is the governor signed the Braider's law. I'm putting that in quotes, Braider's law, on July 5th. Which okay, so a lot of Black folks. 4th of July, they out in the park, partying, drinking, whatever. The next day, while they recuperating, the governor Ed Rendell, signed in the law this Braider. Then he had a 60-day period, for it, and then it became in effect. But here's the point: when part of the driver for that, of course, was the economics and people seeing the government seeing the growth in the natural hair salons. Because when I went to the press conference, there were a lot of people there from the economic side of the state, the people collect the taxes, the people for licensing and so forth. Now, in the room with the natural hair audience, there were also the cosmetologists.
Yes.
Okay, the sisters who said, hey, I'm licensed, they
Yes.
should get licensed. Or the shops are dirty and they need sanitation. And in fact, it was one person with that type of a mentality that really opened up the door, who went to a state representative and said, we need to get out here and do something about these natural braiding salons that are popping up, and they're making this money, and they're getting our clients, and these women get natural hair, and they don't have a cosmetology degree. And so when I put together an event, in the room, I had the natural hair, the braiders, locticians, and so forth. And then I had the cosmetologists, and I almost needed a referee in there to keep the sisters saying, like you just said, wait a minute, let's pull back and realize it's all Black hair. But there's a division, I think, within the family, so to speak.
Yeah.
Did you see that, or what are your thoughts on that?
But they're the same people. The cosmetology, my friends who were owners of beauty schools are the ones that took my name to the state of Texas. And for years, they kept saying, you know what, Isis, everybody is calling, asking for you because you know how to do all this natural stuff. But one day, we're going to take your name. And they kept threatening me with it, but I didn't think nothing of it. But yeah, it's that side. And after I did get turned in to the state of Texas and I didn't comply, they weren't expecting me to stand up and say, no, you have no jurisdiction over me. I am an ancestral braider. This is an ancestral art form. They couldn't come over and do anything.
I need an applause button.
So those other people were like, you made it so bad for us, the beauticians. We don't like you anymore. Now they're coming into our shops, looking for things and reasons to find us. They were just all upset because I created a controversy.
You were like a runaway slave.
I was a runaway slave.
This plantation is good to us.
Absolutely.
What are you doing running away from? Where you going to find something better than the state?
And that's what they were saying. Okay, because it took 14 years before they finally said, okay, we'll grandfather you. It took 14 years and they kept sending me letters saying, oh, the beauty schools. Guys, just go and get the $1,500.
Yeah, just go along and get along.
It's easy, yeah.
Waste your money.
Pay that $15,000. You can get a grant girl, and you can learn how to do other hair. And I was like, no, but that's not what I do. And then, it went on and on for 14, 15 years. And they finally said, they sued me. And my lawyer countersued, and we were going back and forth like that. And then finally he said, "Forget that. Okay, you're grandfathered."
Woo!
And I'm okay, but that's victorious, but it ain't over with yet.
No,
and we still got some policies to put in place for this natural hair industry because we do not want to be under barbering, and we are not associated. We don't resemble or match what you're doing with cosmetology because this is nothing that is altering the state of being. This is all about who we are as an African people.
Yes.
But yeah, our people were furious.
Yes,
And
yes.
here, my parade, I want people to know it doesn't matter if you are a beautician or a cosmetologist and you work with chemicals. Come to this parade because there's so much information to learn. It's so much to grow from. You know, it's so many ways you can take your business to the next level with all these different industry people that will be involved. So I love Black people. We do have an economic power machine, but we just haven't tapped into how to do it collectively. Individually, that's one thing, but interdependently, that's a whole new something that we have to learn.
Well, that's the evolution, and I'm so glad that you, came at this time and are leading this and being a, one having the courage, because you gotta have some guts to go up against these people when they're trying to keep you in a box, and your own people. And a lot of us, we crumble. As soon as the first bit of objection comes our way, we cave in, and it was a dumb idea. I never should have thought about it. So to display that courage, not only the consciousness, but the courageousness and the commitment to stick it through, because what has happened is, as you know, these braiders laws, quote, I'm saying that in quote, they have now swept the country. I mean, I had a sister out in Portland, Oregon, out in Washington State. They've now used this, using one victory really becomes a model that they say, well, if it was good enough in Dallas, then we can certainly do it in Pennsylvania. And then we can certainly roll it out then in Los Angeles. So unless we come together and, as you said, collectively say, this is our cultural art form, this is what we've been doing for 35,000 years, long before any of the U.S. was even a concept. We were braiding, locking, and twisting.
Yes.
So how can you try to put us in that box? And then the other thing that's happened here, a lot of these schools, even if you take the 1,700 hours, pay the $15,000, $16,000, $20,000, they don't teach the art form in the schools anyway. So now you done use $17,000, $20,000 in debt. You done spent 1,700 hours, and you didn't even learn what it was. You came in to learn how to braid, lock, which is in our bones. It's a lot of these, they don't learn that from no school.
Yes.
So why should we? I mean, what kind of a mentality? Now, here's what happened at the event that I was at. They had some sister, I ain't gonna say her name, but the people know she is, who the idea was they would take a couple of people and they would basically make them like an instructor. This is the plan of the school. We know, which is again, it follows the same mentality. But we'll make her an instructor, bring her in, and then she can teach us. And we video her. We take her technique, blah blah blah. And now they would know at these schools, this is how we do this. And the next thing you know, what should be an asset, because it is a cultural form. It is something that's part of our DNA. Now, all of a sudden, it becomes a commodity, and everyone can do it. That was part of the plan. Because what we were saying is the Koreans were actually looking at how do they buy the schools. You know what I mean? So that way, when they say, well, you have to be licensed from a school, well, we don't have the black school. Now, this is another reason I love what you're doing and putting the school in place, because if the state says, well, you got to go to a school, and if you look at what percentage of schools are owned by blacks, and you find out it's less than 2%, well, where are you going to go? Now, not only are you paying the money for the courses, that money is going to the owners of those schools, and then the state is making money off the licensing. The Korean-owned beauty supply stores are making money off the distribution. Yes. Everybody's making money off of a consumer base that is 100% black, except black people. And to me, that is part of the raising consciousness as what you're doing with the parade and festival, you're raising this issue, and the fact that you now have a way to give people training and from yourself and from our own culture. My thing is, we don't have a problem. I said to some of the sisters, I said, no one has a problem with sanitation. Let's not be silly.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, but I don't believe that's the state's motivation. If they were concerned
No.
about sanitation and the health of the hair, they'd be shutting down L'Oreal for selling all them relaxers and chemicals. First of all. So let's keep it what it is. It's about the economics. But if you want sanitation, which the salons I go to, the sisters who maintain my hair, they do a great job. You can eat off the floor in their shops. So the point is, why can't we, people like yourself, teach sanitation? If it's about the sanitation, that we got people coming from continental Africa, they're coming from Ghana, they're coming from Senegal, they're coming to the States, why can't they connect with someone like yourself? And we internally, it's a black thing. We handle the sanitation and customer service, and we provide that training.
Absolutely. It's very interesting because here in Dallas, they're doing the same thing. You know, there are about 7 to maybe 10 states that are free, that have all been exempt. And thanks to Pamela Farrell and Talib Ding Upda, who were the first, I think Pam was the first person in D.C., Washington, D.C., that was fired from her job for wearing braids or twists, and who also was shut down in Washington, D.C., and they launched a political lawsuit against the District of Columbia. But in Texas, what it's 35 hours. I got the laws down to change from 1,500 requirement to 35 hours. And like you said, there are only few African American schools, maybe 1% in Texas. But what they're doing is telling the young people that are interested in doing natural hair, they're suggesting that they go through the 1,500 hours and become a full-fledged cosmetologist. And in that period, they'll get some training in natural hair. And the young people are very upset because that's not happening. And they've taken their money, they've kicked them out of schools.
Put them in debt. So now they're in debt for that loan.
Yes, and they never got what they came for.
Never got the training, can't open up. And see, to me, I love the fact, too, that you're making this a bigger issue because, like I said, we're talking about an unemployment rate that is ridiculous. We're talking about how do we reduce crime, and we know this economics is important. So the fact that people could get jobs and create businesses and build generational wealth, and it's being hindered by the state and these various state entities across this country against the black community is something, to me, black people should be outraged about across this country.
So unfair.
I'm very excited about talking with you. Let me see, as we get ready to wrap up, let me give you a chance to cover anything that I missed out on. As I mentioned, it's going to be a fantastic event. It's coming right up. It's an annual event. I'm also going to put in the video how people can contact you. We'll make sure we do that. But let me give you just a chance. How did you get Erykah Badu involved? I know that's a question.
Erykah and I are god sisters, and she's been in my chair since she was 9 years old. So Erykah loves me, and I love her.
Shout out. I love her too.
Yes, that's my baby sister. But I want everybody to come out and feel free to travel. And if you don't make it this year, maybe next year. And we will be at Wynwood Shopping Center at 8 a.m. lining up for the parade. I mean, we have a lot of great acts. We have clowns. We have Cat Williams' wife, Ebony. She's the fire dancer. We have the longest locks in the world, Asha Mandala. It's a lot of stuff to see and a lot of history to record. So we love you. We love you.
What is your website?
It's NaturallyIsis.com is the website, and NaturallyIsis@yahoo.com is the email, and you can contact us at 214-329-3820. And we're still looking for donations, y'all. $5, $10, $2, $1. It doesn't matter. We need the community to come in and make a statement and let the world know that we stand together. Together we stand. So you can go to my website, NaturallyIsis.com, and press that donate button.
We love you, sister. We love you so much. And thank you. Stay encouraged. I'm excited about connecting with you, and we will definitely continue to build on what we've done here. Okay? Peace and blessings.
Thank
Love
you.
you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
God bless.